a huge outsourcing of production facilities, excipients, APIs, any of the raw materials, but even finished products are now very rapidly moving to Asia. And the FDA inspectorate came to MIT, partially through some of the connections with the Auto ID labs, where we've worked on electronic pedigrees for finished pharmaceutical products. And the question was, you know, to inspect, normally the inspector goes to the FDA, the inspector shows up at your plant if you're making food or if you're making pharma. Well, what do you do if they're outside of your jurisdiction? How do you think about that? What could you monitor? What could you measure? And so there's a project on campus that's just come in from the FDA inspectorate that CBI is coordinating that will look at a number of issues around that, right? But clearly, serialization would be one of the potential areas that you would potentially investigate. A second project that actually just came in from DARPA at CBI is a project that looks at so if in the biomanufacturing consortium at CBI, you have the major representatives of the biotech manufacturing industry that come together a few times a year. This is something that can only happen at MIT. You know, ILP does a great job of bringing through companies, right? But the ability for academics and companies to get together constructively and roadmap the underlying technology that an industry has is an extraordinarily valuable forum, right? And so in the context of that forum, one of the things you can see in the roadmap of how biomedical products are being produced, increasingly it's distributed all over the world. So, you know, what's manufacturing, what's supply chain, I mean, all of those distinctions blur. And specific to the vaccines industry, one of the questions has been, as countries, as we seek to prepare for new viruses, either intentional or not, how do you stockpile for that? How do you respond to that? There's a very exciting project that's led by Professor Tony Sinsky, looking at or to design a bioreactor that will actually be able to produce vaccines on demand under certain parameters that actually could go out there. The third project, and actually the one that I'm directly engaged in and would be interested in soliciting contributors and participants in, is in this whole area of biomaterials, characterization, authentication, and biomaterials process specifications, right? So that if we're in a lab environment or even in a manufacturing environment, how do the actual antibodies, the cells, the biomaterials, the samples, how do we track them? How do we know their condition? You know, how do we characterize them? That looks to me at this point like a really important building block for the industry to be able to go forward.